welcome to the Law of Positivism podcast. I'm your host, Shireen, and I'm the creator of Law of Positivism. I'm here to help you on your spiritual and healing journey. I am a certified yoga and meditation teacher, a student of Chinese medicine, a doula, a Reiki practitioner, and a passionate, highly sensitive person. I want to use my knowledge to channel information and messages for you to grow on all levels. Hi, and welcome to this week's episode. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your presence and your love. I'm really grateful for all of you who listen and share and leave comments and reviews and just benefit from this podcast. That's why I'm creating it, and I'm so grateful for all of it. So thank you so much. And we're coming closer to the end of the year, and we have a winter solstice coming up, which marks the birth of the sun in the northern hemisphere. So we have a lot of new energy coming in, which is great. And today I'm talking with Monica Bey. She has been on the podcast before, and we are talking about, last time we talked about trauma healing and soul's purpose. And this time we're going to talk a little bit about shedding the old and preparing for the new. And we talk about how important it is to be very present in this practice and not wait and postpone anything and expect that a new year is magically gonna just create something new. It's about doing something right now or changing something within us right now to create something new in our lives. So we talk about, she shares her journey, and she talks about how she found her purpose and her gifts, and how we can work with that. And we talk about being aligned right now and having relationships that are aligned, so we can create more of what we want in our lives. Monica holds a bachelor's degree in social science and is a certified life coach, Reiki master, and hypnotist. So she has a lot of experience with healing, guiding, and just being such a beautiful role model for living an authentic life. And she shares her story in this podcast episode too. So I hope you enjoy, and I hope this podcast helps you to be more present these upcoming days and weeks leading up to the solstice and the new year. And if you do have any feedback, comments, you can always connect with me on Instagram, and you can always leave a review or a rating on iTunes, and I do an oracle card reading for you, so you can connect with me on Instagram if you share something like that. So just enjoy today. Hi, Monica. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm wonderful. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm so grateful that you're here. And maybe you want to start by sharing your mindfulness practice. You've been here before. Maybe something has changed since we last talked.
Well, my mindfulness practice is pretty steady. What I do is I'm mindful throughout the entire day, and I try to stay present. And even when I find myself, because we're all human beings and we find ourselves drifting into the future or the past, I just bring my, awareness back to the present moment. I don't know if I gave you this little tip last time, but what I usually do, and I also tell my clients to do, is when you find yourself starting to kind of drift off away from the present moment and your, present moment mindfulness, is to simply state the word now, yell it out loud if you have to, and focus on something in front of you. Anything, just stare at something in front of you, and it will bring you right back into that present moment. It works like a charm. Everyone loves it.
I think that's a great method to become present and to just focus on something in the moment. So it's a good
Yes.
anchor.
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
go right from there. And
Mm.
as far as just like my daily, mindfulness practice is just, being aware of every moment, being, having gratitude in every moment, having self-love and remembering my power at all times, and meditating in the morning. I have a whole morning routine that I
Mm.
do, and that also helps me stay present.
Mm. Yeah, I love that. I love morning routines because you set the tone for the day, and
Yeah.
it's so important. Like how you start the morning can really help you shape the day as you wanted.
It really does. And also, when you start with a morning routine and you start your morning off right, it also helps to build resilience throughout the day as well. Because when you start
Mm.
off in a sense of empowerment within yourself and groundedness, anything that gets thrown at you, you're going to be able to handle it a lot better than you would have had you not done your morning routine. That's what I found.
Yeah, me too. I love having a morning routine, and I think for some people, if that's hard because you need to be like at work very early, it's
Yeah,
great to have like a evening routine or some type of routine going to
something.
work. Yeah, like there's
Yeah,
always a space. You have to like take the
yeah.
chance when you can.
But I always tell people also that, everyone has time to do a morning routine in the morning. I don't care what, if you have
Mm.
to get up at 4 a.m. and head to work. Your morning routine does not have to be hours long. It could be 5 minutes, and it
Yeah,
still will make a world of difference throughout your day. And everyone can find 5 minutes.
yeah, definitely. I
Yeah,
agree. Yeah,
yeah.
so I'm so happy that you're here. You were here a couple of months ago, and maybe some of
Yes.
the listeners haven't listened to that episode. Maybe you want to share a little bit about yourself to start with.
Yeah, sure, sure. So
Yeah,
thank you for having me back.
thank you for being here.
And to everyone listening, I'm back. Hello.
Mm.
So, but a little about myself. My name is Monica Bey, also known as the Healer in Heels. I am an energy healer. I am also a spiritual teacher,
Mm.
and I focus on helping taking people through life transformations. I help to bring people back to their internal power. I help to heal people from past trauma, removing all the things that are holding them back from achieving their greatness in life. And I do that very quickly and easily using all of the tools I have available to me, which the tools that I use, I am an energy healer, like I stated. I'm also a life coach. I'm also a hypnotist, and I'm also psychic.
Mm.
So
Wow.
that's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But what I do is I use all of those tools in my process of taking people on a transformational journey. And I also help one of my big things is also to help ignite people's gifts within them, because so many people have spiritual gifts and they don't even realize that they have them, or they're afraid of them, or they just don't know how to access them or use them. And so I teach people, first of all, I help them discover their gifts inside of them. And then I also help them train them and teach them how to control those gifts and use them, because our gifts are supposed to be tools for us to
Mm.
achieve our purpose. And so that's one of the big things I am always about, as well as empowering people to stand in their true power and greatness.
Mm. That's beautiful. And I
Thank
love,
you.
yeah, it's a beautiful path that you're on, and I think I like that it's like you're working on different levels and different angles with helping people, because I think that uh, yeah, an important thing is to help others find like self-healing and
Hmm.
yeah, the purpose and all, I think when we have that, that leads to a lot of healing as well. And then if you, when you're psychic, you can also help with connecting into other dimensions and guides, and
Exactly.
yeah, it's so fascinating. I think it's really beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah, I believe that everything that all these tools that I have, that, some that I was born with, some that I learned, like obviously hypnosis is a learned thing, life coaching
Mm.
is something I actually always naturally had a knack for that, but obviously I went and got certified as well. But the
Mm.
healing and the psychic ability, those are things that I was naturally born with, that I have still developed and strengthened over time. But I believe that all of this in my life path has come to a reason, has come for a reason for, for me to be able to help people the way that I do, because I'm not just a one trick pony. I can
Mm.
always find a way to solve a problem. I'm also a Virgo, so I'm very good at problem
Mm.
solving, very detail oriented. But
Yeah.
I use all these tools, and if someone comes to me with a problem, I can solve it with one or more of those tools.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. I just am a little bit curious about your own gifts. Like you've found
Hmm.
them yourself. So
Oh
I
yeah.
was thinking about these like psychic and healing gifts. Was this something that you found very early? Like, did you experience things as a child, or did that come later? Was there a moment in your life where that opened up?
Well, yes. I mean, yes to both questions, actually.
Mm.
Yes to both of those. So, because I'm still actually, there's so many gifts that I have. I haven't actually sat down to list them all because it's just so
Mm.
many. And other main overall kind of umbrella gifts lead into other more acute gifts. It's very interesting. But to answer your question, back in childhood, I always knew that I had some abilities. I didn't understand them though, but I always knew that I had the ability to heal people, because I
Mm.
naturally, people would feel better in my presence. I would, be able to heal myself from things. But again, being a really young child, obviously I didn't understand any of that. One of the biggest experience though, that I constantly had was with spirit. So I'm a natural medium.
Mm.
And that was something that definitely appeared in childhood, where I would see spirits, and they didn't really scare me though, because
Mm.
I kind of naturally knew that there was nothing to be afraid of, and that this is what I was seeing. But still, again, being a child, not fully having a grasp of understanding of that. But then when I was in my teenage years, I started to really fully understand it. And I'll tell you a funny.
Mm.
So what actually spawned, or sparked my interest in really diving into this stuff more, is the movie The Craft in the '90s. Do you remember that?
No, I don't think. Maybe in Sweden it has a different
Oh,
name.
oh, yes, yes. It is an
Yeah.
American movie, but it was this movie about these young girls that were like messing around.
Oh yeah, I remember this one. Yeah.
So there was a scene where they were like trying to levitate each other.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so my
Mm.
friends and I watched it, and we were like, "Oh, let's try to levitate each other." But so we started to do that, and my side actually, no one expected it to actually work, but my side actually started to lift up, and that's when
Wow.
it dawned on me, like, "Oh, this is interesting." So then I started
Mm.
reading more, learning more, and diving more into myself. And the more I dove into myself, the more I discovered. And that's really where it all started. And so, literally, since my teenage years, I've been, developing and, progressing and magnifying my gifts and finding out more. I still sometimes, the last time I discovered a new gift was
Mm.
couple of years ago. So it's not like, and I believe that there's more that I still haven't discovered. So there's just so many gifts that I have. And I believe in divine timing. And so I know that
Mm.
these gifts appear when they're supposed to. And they, when, as I go along my journey in achieving my life purpose.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah, how, this is just a question that arose now as well. I'm thinking about like since you were on a different path before, and
Hmm.
maybe your surroundings were expecting something different. Do you feel that your relationships changed also with you? Because I think not a lot of people are very open to these type of gifts, because mainly people get scared, or they feel like
Yeah.
it's unknown and they don't know what it is, so that can shift and transform relationships too.
Yeah, it can. I haven't really experienced that much. I have some people that obviously that like I've known for a really long time that are non-believers, and that's okay. They don't,
Mm.
I'm not here to force anyone to believe in something that they don't. But then when they need help, they come to me, so they are really believers.
Yeah, I see.
So, and then they become, somewhat believers because when I help them and they can, when I heal someone, I'm healing someone over the phone, from far
Mm.
away, and they can feel what's happening inside of them as I'm doing it. So they know that there is something real there, for instance. But it really hasn't changed many of my relationships. In the beginning, I kept a lot of it to myself, and until I actually stepped out and just started living out loud in what I'm doing, in my gifts and all of that. A lot of people weren't even aware. So even, some people that may get back in touch with me now that maybe knew me, a while ago, they are surprised at what I'm doing because they knew me as, remember, I was a executive for a
Mm.
finance company. I was the vice
Yeah.
president of a finance company for 13 years. So that they knew me as a business executive. They didn't know me as what I am now, which I've always been this, but I just wasn't living this. So
Mm.
but I've always been a person that is very, just kind of just kind of doing my thing.
Mm.
To do my thing, and people just jump on board or they don't. And that's just
Yeah.
the way it is. But most people jump on board, most people, because they see my sincerity in what I'm doing, and they can also see the results clearly. If I wasn't if I wasn't good at what I was doing, or if it wasn't real, I wouldn't be making a living off of it.
Mm. Yeah,
And I
that's
wouldn't
so
have a good
true.
reputation. And I've helped thousands and thousands of people, um,
Mm.
throughout the past 8 years. So it's really crazy.
Oh, it's amazing actually, and
Yeah,
I think it's a
not crazy, amazing.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're like also a great like someone that has lived their truth and path
Hmm.
authentically, because I think a
Yeah.
lot of people do get scared when they have to make a big shift, but I
Hmm.
think the like your soul, the universe will always push you towards that direction, and
Oh,
when you do,
always.
yeah, and you feel more aligned and more in flow when you're following that. When you're not, then you start becoming tired, or you start having physical symptoms when you're not aligning with what
Hmm.
what you're supposed to do, and you get so many signs, but sometimes we're not listening, so it
Yes.
can take a while.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's why I help people. That's why I'm so big on empowerment and
Mm.
teaching people how to tap in. Because yes, I'm psychic. You can come to me and I can tell you all about, your future and who you are and all of that. But there's a big difference in me telling you that and you discovering that for yourself. Huge
Mm.
difference. And so
Yeah.
I like to teach people, like, you don't need anyone else. Other people are there to help you, and I'm here to help. I'm here to help assist you to finding yourself so that you can then be on your own, doing it on your own. So you don't need me for the rest of your life. That's my intention is not to have someone need me for the rest of their life. I'm here for a period of time to help walk them through a transformative process. And then by the time we're done working together, I've given them enough tools that they can take the reins from there. And
Mm.
that's empowerment.
Yeah, that's so important,
Yeah.
to have that knowing that you can do everything. And as we talked about with healing, it's like it's an inner process. It's not something that comes from the outside, because you can receive healing and not be, I mean, you, when you are receiving, you're kind of ready to receive it.
Yeah,
uh,
yeah, divine timing. It all
yeah.
happens at the right time. And I always believe, and I tell people, even when they come to me
Mm.
and I'm talking to someone during a consultation, I tell people, well, the universe led you to me. Like, I know that we're
Mm.
having whether or not we end up working together, it doesn't matter, but this conversation that we're having is supposed to be happening.
Yeah.
Because I always give a lot of information during my consultations too, just because I'm interested in whether they work with me or not. I'm just interested in helping a person, and when I feel guided to say something, I just say it, and it's always
Mm.
received deep within when that happens, because I am also a channel. That's also one of my gifts. I have so many
It's
gifts, but
beautiful.
yeah. So I believe that everything does happen for a reason, and that the universe brings people to me right at the right time in their life, that they're supposed to come to me, and that I'm here equipped with the tools that are needed in order to help them specifically on their individual journey.
Mm. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
beautiful. And right now we're also in a time because um, we have entered into. I always say that this is the yin time of the year, like in yin
Mm-hmm.
and yang. It's like the dark, feminine. It's restful
Mm-hmm.
energy, receptiveness, all of this, and we have went through the Scorpio season, which is really, it's really deep work, and now we're also like it is a big transition this time of year because we are we're coming closer to a winter solstice, so it means
Mm-hmm.
like that something shifts. So I think this is also the time, for us here in Sweden, it's very dark. Like we don't have that much light outside, so we do
Oh.
have to go in. Yeah, we have like maybe 6 hours light now. The sun
Oh.
goes up very late and
Mm-hmm.
go. It gets dark very early, and so this time of year can be very like more introspective. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
not really a fan of the calendar, like the calendar that we have, but anyways, we do have like a winter solstice, which marks like when we're moving in, at least in the northern hemisphere, we
Mm-hmm.
will start moving into more light. But when we're shedding now, it's a very important process of something that we can look back at this year and still see blessings that we got,
Mm-hmm.
and focus on that, and focus on creating more of that in the upcoming year, and at the same time not having like like expectations of
Mm-hmm.
a way of controlling our future, because we can't do that. But I just want to tap into this topic that we've talked about earlier as well, that we're
Yeah.
going into this time period. Like, how do you see this time of year?
Yeah, well, interestingly enough, I think this entire year for most people is definitely here in the United States, because of COVID this year.
Mm,
I think that this whole year has really been a shedding year. This whole
mm,
year has really been that kind of energy where it's like, we're forced to go within, we're forced to reassess, we're forced to reevaluate our lives, our careers, our what's important to us, things like that. And definitely this time of year, though, like you were saying, is definitely
mm,
that is that energy. I'm just saying, like, this entire year is really gone.
mm.
That's how that energy has been. So I think
Yeah.
to end this year on a note of shedding, after you've done that retrospection, after you've done that, inward, kind of going within, seeing what's important to you, reevaluating, your life, your career, all of those things. Now is a great time to if you haven't already taken action on those retrospections, then it's now time to really do that and actually start shedding the things that no longer serve you. Because one thing that I've talked to a lot of people about is, and I don't know if it's the same in Sweden, but I hear there's been a lot of people laid off,
Mm,
have lost their jobs because of the virus this year.
yeah.
And so, a lot of those people who have lost their jobs, I'm not saying everyone, but there are a lot of people who have lost their jobs that the universe and their spirit and their soul wanted to leave that job before.
Mm, mm,
Is kind of a
yeah.
forcing them to do it, because oftentimes, and I tell people, when the universe is speaking to you and you're not listening, like you were saying, if the universe is speaking to you and you're not listening, there will be something that comes along that forces you to listen, that forces you to still take that action. So you could either take it the nice way and just listen, or
Mm,
or you can, not listen and go through some hardship in order to come to the same conclusion that the universe had dropped into you to begin with.
Mm.
And that
Yeah.
happens a lot. It happens so much. But I do notice that a lot of people, and I've been telling people, okay, you lost your job. And yes, that's an unfortunate circumstance. However, what opportunity lies there? And
Mm.
so when you think about the opportunity to shed things, there's also an opportunity to gain, because when one door closes, 10 more open up.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
sometimes it's all about
definitely.
perspective.
Mm. I think everything is has different perspectives, and we can see it. We can try to see it from an observing eye, but
Yeah.
also sometimes we're in it, and we're supposed to also experience these things to grow. So
Hmm.
when we're in it, we can also allow ourselves to feel that human emotion of the loss or the transition, the change, and then I think what becomes unhealthy is to like get stuck there in that and not try to move on from it. And some
Yeah.
things take some shifts can take months or years to
Oh,
get
yeah.
over, right? It's
Hmm.
like it can be like a really, like you have to reevaluate everything in your life, like what your purpose is, why are you here, and I think these are really opportunities to shift and like if we have to try to stay positive, we can see that maybe this will make your life even better,
Yeah.
more aligned.
Yeah, and it always does. That's the thing. Change is necessary for growth. You can't
Mm.
have growth without change. You can't move forward while standing still at the same time. It's
Mm.
impossible. You can't,
Yeah,
you have to
exactly.
you have to be moving and shifting and changing. And if we are the same that we were when we were born as now, what is that? What's the
Mm.
point? What is the point of life if we're not growing? What is the point of being here in living this human experience if we are not growing through the experience? So you
Yeah.
can't just remain the same and stay complacent. And a lot of people are so
Mm.
afraid of change, but
Yeah.
you have to step past that fear, because what's on the other side of that fear is growth, prosperity, and a better you, always,
Mm.
no matter what kind of change it is. It's always
Yeah,
for a reason, and there's always a positive reason why that's happening, even when it feels negative at the time.
exactly. And that's also the practice of being in more of like balancing life with the yin aspect. So in the system of yin and yang, there's always a balance, and
Exactly.
usually now we're much more in the yang
Hmm.
type of living, and we're controlling, and we're uh, setting goals, and we're really like trying to shape everything, while when things like this happen, we have to learn to surrender to it, which is
Hmm.
really hard. and
Yeah,
and
especially when we
like
control
yeah,
everything.
is yeah, and it's really, and that's how we've been shaped to be, so by
Hmm.
society. So we don't want things to be out of control, but sometimes the non-control leads to more things. I'm thinking about when I'm teaching yin yoga, it's like you're achieving so much, but you're just you're just still, like
Hmm.
you're not pushing, you're not pulling, you're like you're not trying to create the stretch, you just rest into
Allowing it to
it.
happen. Yes.
Exactly. And you don't have to do anything, you just rest, and then everything, all the changes happen in your body through that. So
Yes. Well,
yeah, yeah.
that's one thing that I tell people a lot is to be an allowance of your
Mm,
unfolding,
yeah.
because so many times we try to control our unfolding. So many times we try to control our path. And while we do have a level of control, we do have free will, we do definitely have the ability to manifest our reality, but there are times of action, and then there are times of rest. And in those times of rest, those are times where you just surrender to the unfolding of your path, and just allow it to happen. And especially in times, those times of rest are oftentimes times where you start to feel frustrated because you're not moving fast enough or anything like that. Then it's time to just, okay, I already know my, after you've kind of sank within yourself and you know your path. Generally, you don't have to have all the details. You don't have to have all the answers, but you know the general direction that you're headed in, and you feel that you're on the right path. It's time to just sink in and just allow everything to unfold. And that period of action comes up again, you'll know it because it'll be ready, and you'll feel that within yourself.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that just with that, sometimes when when we're we're when we're not creating space to breathe and to rest and to be, we're constantly controlling things. We're not letting the good things in that we're supposed to.
Yeah.
So there's no space for it because we're trying to fill it, and we think that we're filling our time and our surroundings with what we want and need. But it's actually when we've created that, it seems like it's not enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is because a lot of people focus on the reason why we think that we know what we're supposed to be doing and we want to control everything is because we think that we know it all. we think
Yeah.
that our brains that are telling us these logical solutions, and this is the way I should go if I want this result, but we ignore that inner side. And I just did a post on this the other day. It's we have to we have to learn to move from our spirit instead of our brain sometimes,
Yeah.
because our logic will actually be less accurate than our intuition will. Because sometimes because as you know, our intuition comes from a deeper place. It comes from our soul. It comes from our spirit guides. It comes from our higher self, whatever you want to call, the different guiding forces that you have within and around you. That's where that intuition comes. That intuition is an interpretation of that energy and that desire, and that knowledge that is within you. And so when that bubbles up, when you start to receive some of that, oftentimes people just ignore that, and they're like, well, I know I feel like, or I received that I should do this, but this makes more sense, so I'm going to do that, because they're following their logic, and then they end up with the wrong decision, and that they realize later that they should have followed their heart or followed their their intuition. And it's because that's actually going to be more accurate, because that all-knowing version of ourselves inside is all-knowing. And sometimes it won't make logical sense because we're not able to see it all yet.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's where I think what I've seen with everything that's been happening, I see that there's like not to make it like everything too dual, but it's like two different types of approaches to when life is unpredictable. One approach is to just focus on like external input and facts, or like information that is may or may not be true. And then there is those that go from within instead and trust the process. And I think, and something that we are when I'm studying nursing science, is that there is what I read is that there is such a big difference in how people react to sudden things in their lives. It can be related to health, or it can be, but when you have, it's very interesting. It doesn't matter what type of faith you have or religion, but when you have a belief and faith in something, it's easier to cope with things that are happening outside. You feel maybe a sense of peace within yourself, that all is unfolding exactly how it should be. I'm always saying that. and to some people that sounds horrible. Maybe
Yeah.
it's like the worst thing to say, but
Yeah.
I think this is what I've experienced, like two different, very two distinct different ways. And of course people can be there in between, but it's such a, you can see like how reactions have been so different, how um how much fear can take over, and again that's actually fear around losing control and not knowing.
Mhm.
That's it, right? What else would it be?
Yeah, I mean, it is fear. All of it is fear based, really. At the end
Mm.
of the day, when people are afraid of or hesitant to go down a path, and it's all fear. But what's underneath that fear? I don't believe that fear is actually the root of it. I think the root of it is lack of self trust and lack
Mm.
of knowledge and remembrance of who you are.
Yeah.
And I say remembrance because when we come into this earth, when we come into this plane and we incarnate into these bodies, we know exactly who we are. We know our power. We know our limitlessness. We know all of that. But then as we grow and start to cement and root more deeply into this physical plane, we forget who we were and we forget who we really are inside.
Mm.
And as we experience, as we go through the human experience, we constantly are bombarded with things that diminish us, that teach us and drill into our heads that we have limitations.
Mm.
And then we become more, then we start to feel powerless in the world. And I say that the root of fear is lack of self-trust, is because if you truly knew who you are, you truly understand your power, which is limitless. If you truly really understand the breadth of that, then you know that you can trust yourself and your path. And you know that no matter what is happening outside of you, no matter what is happening in the world, no matter what's happening around you, you have control in terms of your ability to get past it, your ability to conquer any problem or go around it if you can't conquer it, or find another way. And so when you fully trust yourself, really truly trust yourself and know your power, there's never anything to fear,
Mm.
ever.
Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah.
And now as we're heading towards a new year, and also the sun will be born again, so
Yeah.
how what do you like, how do you advise us all to approach this new shift?
Yeah, so I believe that, I mean, when we go into times like this where it's just a great time to shed, and you don't have to wait until the new year to do it. You
Mm.
can shed and make yourself anew at any point in time in the year. But definitely this time of year is a great idea to start shedding the things that no longer serve you. That means people, that means situations, that means distractions, that means,
Mm.
anything in your life that is dragging you down, bogging you down, or keeping you complacent.
Mm.
Anything in those categories need to go. And so you need to make a list of those things and start making a plan on how you're going to start shedding those things and start weeding those things out of your life. And sometimes with people, it may take some time, especially if it's family. It may take some time,
Mm.
or you may not be able to completely discard someone from your life totally, but you can start to distance yourself, because what's important is that you take care of yourself. You have to guard your spirit, you have to guard your energy, and you have to make sure that you take command of the energy that you are allowing into your space. So that's why shedding is so important. And once you shed that, now with the new year, and again, you don't have to wait till the new year, but just speaking, with times of year right now, with the new year, start to, okay, what are you going to, now that you have emptied your cup a little bit with these things that, these things that no longer serve you, how are you going to fill that cup? What are you going to fill it with? What does serve you? We want more of that. Bring in more of the things that do serve you. So what are you doing that is nourishing your spirit right now? If you're not doing anything, then what do you need to do to nurture your spirit?
Mm.
Ask yourself these questions to nurture your spirit, to nurture, and again, nurturing your spirit everything nurture, every area of your life can nurture your spirit. Your career can nurture your spirit, or it can do the opposite, right? So
Yeah.
everything in your life can nurture your spirit, your career, your family, your relationship, your pets, everything
Mm.
around you, your living space, all of these different things. So what do you need to change? What do you need more of? And so, now is a great time to start shedding those things and asking yourself those questions, and then start to create more of that, doing, more of the things that you actually love and not the things that you hate. And I have a saying that I always tell people: life is meant to be lived, not endured.
Mm.
And that's because most people go through life enduring it. Oh, I'm just trying to get through the day. Oh, I'm just trying to get through this year, especially this year. I've
Yeah.
heard that, right? I'm just
Mm.
waiting till 2021. That's what people say. As if on January 1st, magically everything's
Yeah.
going to be okay. So,
Exactly. Oh,
so,
yeah.
live
It's
your life, no matter what your circumstances are. Live,
exactly.
and living it means to fully be embraced within it, be in the moment, be mindful, be in the experience, not outside looking at the experience after it already passed because you weren't there at the time. You know what I mean?
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. No, I think it's an important thing that you said. Like we're like procrastinating our happiness and thinking, oh, but just when this thing happens or this thing is over, then I will be more happy. But we can't do that. We could do that all our lives then. And
Yeah.
most of us are doing that. Like,
I was just
okay,
going
I
to say
can't
that.
wait.
Yeah.
Yeah, this day, I want this day to be over. I want this week to be over. Like we're constantly living in the future. Like you have to
Mhm.
catch yourself when you're thinking like that, because time. What
Yes.
I've seen, actually, I don't know if it's just my experience. I feel like the older I get, the faster time goes. I don't know if that's like a just a
It
thing
feels
that.
like that. I think that is a perceptual thing that most people experience as they get
Yeah,
older. That I am experiencing that too. I'm like, where are these years going? Like, what happened
yeah,
here?
yeah. It's so strange. So time is really, really. It's really subjective, and it
It
can
is.
be very different how we experience it. But I
Mm-hmm.
think that like ta- being I think one thing that has been important this year is to release control, because I
Yeah.
think it's not just the world situation. It's just that we haven't had the opportunity to truly release. Like we have tried to release control, but then we haven't really gotten there. Now we have had
Mm-hmm.
the chance to evolve as a like as humankind, like as a
Yeah.
collective. And also another thing is that having having a faith in what is now, that it has to be I can't see that nothing has a purpose. Like
Yeah.
even when it's really tough, it must have a purpose, but we can't see it right now. So
Mm-hmm.
we have chosen to be here in this time. So I think
Yeah.
it's really important to remind ourselves of that, and we can choose what we focus on. I think that this year probably has been great for like sensitives or introverts, because there has not been so much external demand on you all the
Exactly.
time.
Yeah.
So it's like, wow, you get to breathe and have some
Yeah, no,
space.
the funny thing is I have several clients and friends that are introverts, and they're like, this is the best year of my life.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you're allowed to be a little bit in like not always this extroverted, because that's what's awarded in society. It's like being
It is.
extrovert, and you're expected to be out there. And I think that's why I've always loved like the summer and the warmth. And but here in Sweden, that's when we're always trying to be outside, because we have not many months of that. So,
Mhm.
but I do love and appreciate this time too. Like now we haven't seen the sun for a couple of weeks, but it's like now I'm longing for it. I can appreciate it also. So
Yeah.
yeah.
See, everything has a positive. So I personally do not like wintertime at all, but
Mm.
it does. I will admit though that it does help you like really appreciate the summer.
Yeah. Yeah,
And then,
definitely.
you can also find appreciation, in the winter, as well. Some people do like the cold. I personally don't, but some people
Mm.
do like the cold and the snow when it's pretty when it first falls.
Mm.
So,
Yeah,
there's always something positive in every kind of situation and everything that happens in the world. And like you were saying, it's yin and yang. You can't have one without the other. And so
exactly.
there's always something positive. It's whether or not you choose to see it.
Definitely.
And that's what the
Yeah.
law of positivism is all about, right?
Exactly. And that's really hard. So sometimes we have to have that morning practice and sit down and to really focus on that.
Hmm.
I think in the evening time, that's really when our mind can be scattered also, that it's important to get back to like what was great about this day. Like there must be
Hmm.
something that was amazing. Like just you waking up was amazing. So
Oh yeah.
there's
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, there is always something. And just also realizing that every moment of every second, every millisecond of every day, every moment in the now is an active unfolding of
Mm.
you. And you're always in a state of becoming. So we should cherish every single moment because we'll never get that moment back because we're
Exactly.
changing at every moment. We're changing and we're evolving and we're getting closer and closer to our purpose and the person we are becoming, ever evolving. And so as you are in that moment, you have to really cherish that moment and pay attention to it. And that is the positive thing of every moment, really. At the end of the
Mm.
day is, I'm a light being in this physical human body, and I am ever evolving in this human experience.
Yeah. Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm so grateful that we had this conversation. Do you have
Me too.
anything else that you feel is important to share right now?
Well, just I think right now a lot of people are, like we were talking about before, having a lot of fears, having a lot of hesitations about their future, having a lot of confusion. I just want to drill home to everyone that you have power within you. And
Mm.
going within, especially in times of confusion, especially in times of frustration or any negative feelings and positive feelings too, but definitely when you're feeling any kind of jarredness or chaotic or, confusion, sadness, frustration, any of those things, that is the perfect time to go within, get out of problem mode and get into problem solving mode. And
Mm.
however you solve a problem, the answer to that is always going to be within yourself.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. Thank you for
Yeah.
sharing that.
You're
And
welcome.
how can the listeners connect with you if they want to work with you in any way?
Yes, well, there are two different ways to connect with me. So you
Mm.
can go to monicabey.com. That's Monica, Monica. Bey is spelled Bey.com.
Mm.
So it's monicabey.com. And you can book a consultation. We can talk about it. That's how you can work with me one on one. And again, I help take people through life transformations. I help heal for past trauma. I also help teach you about your spiritual gifts. I help you find your life purpose, all of those things. I do so much. Anything that you want dealing with transformation, I can I have a package for you.
Oh,
So
that's beautiful.
that's
Yeah.
one way. Thank you. That's one way is monicabey.com. And then I
Mm.
also have a university called Mystic University. And this is a university it's a school for the spiritually gifted. So if you feel that you have gifts, and you want to learn how to use them, or maybe you're not sure what gifts you have, or maybe you're not sure if you even have gifts, but you're interested, I will tell you that everyone has gifts. So, and everyone has a base level of some type of spiritual gifts, and you can ignite them and magnify them and learn how to really use them as tools. And so if you're interested in any of that, then you can go to mysticuniversity.net and
Mm.
sign up for any of the courses that I have on there, or you can sign up for the All Access Pass and get access to every single course on the platform.
That's great. It sounds amazing with a university to evolve like that. We should have it
Yes,
everywhere.
yes, yes. So that's what I'm working
Mm.
on. I started that this year during COVID, actually, while during
Wow.
quarantine. and
Oh.
and that was something beautiful. Just real quick, that was something beautiful that came out of quarantine for me, is because I had been working on starting this university for maybe 6 months prior, but
Mm.
hadn't gotten it off the ground yet because I was so busy with so many other things. But once quarantine happened, it forced me to focus. And then within 2 months of quarantine, I was able to launch the university. So that's something that was definitely a positive offshoot of all of this stuff that happened this year.
You see, there's always something that can. I think it's led to more connectivity beyond like time and space. Actually, I think
Mhm.
things have been more available now, which weren't before. So
Definitely.
it was a something necessary that needed to change because we've
Yes.
seen how, yeah, there has been some boundaries before that are have we have been overcoming now as well.
Mhm.
So
Oh
yeah.
yeah, yeah, it's been beautiful. To me, this year has been great. Every year is great, I believe. This year has definitely been a wonderful year for me. It's been a year of introspection. It's been a year of even more clarity and just
Yeah,
excitement of the unfolding of my path.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you so much for taking your time today and
you're welcome.
sharing. It was beautiful to talk to you. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. I hope this topic and this conversation helps you to, yeah, connect deeper with your own purpose, your gifts, and also to this process of creating something new and being very present in this practice. So I hope that this helps you on your journey. I'm just grateful that you're here. So let's take a deep breath in together, in through the nose, and exhale out through the mouth.